yourself. And regardless of what conclusion you come to personally, it's always fun when a game makes you think about these things. And I just love that. I love when I'm forced to think. And even another example of that would be in puzzles, like in Lufia 2 has some of the greatest puzzles in JRPG gaming, and just anytime a game makes me think, I like that. So for Chrono, +1 for the music, +1 for making you think. In terms of Chrono Cross, there's a huge variety of characters, and I love that the path that you choose, it's not entirely linear. I mean, you eventually get to one goal, but you can choose to kill off a character. You can choose to take a different path, which will give you different characters, and your choices actually affect not necessarily the outcome of the game, but it takes you around different ways to get to that outcome. So unlike a lot of JRPGs, it has a better replayability value. And for Chrono Trigger, I find the characters that they do have are, I guess, memorable for me. I really enjoyed the character development, and I liked how the characters interacted with one another. Even though your main character is, as described, I think, in Chrono Cross, the silent protagonist, I don't mind that they don't talk. They still manage to give the main character a character, which is kind of nice. So, let's see, music. I've talked about the music, I've talked about the characters, I've talked about the thinking, plot line. It does have a wonderful plot line, really interesting. I always love time bending. I mean, anyone who watches sci-fi knows that time bending is a total overused plot device. Oh wait, we wrote something wrong, let's make them go back in time and fix it. But I really enjoy it when it's used in a way that's suitable, or in a way that makes sense, or is interesting, when it's done well, basically. And I do find that Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross really dealt with time in an interesting way. I'm no physicist, I'm not a time-space continuum theorist or anything, but I've seen time used really cheesily and really poorly in things, and I've also seen it done really well. And I'd say the Chrono series dealt with it well. I like that there were repercussions to the first game. Like, for those who haven't played Chrono Trigger, you're going back and forth in time and you're changing things. yeah, so that's what happened. Oh, I get it now. That's so cool. Again, I'm a total junkie, so you'll have to forgive my nerdiness if that's just too much for you. But yeah, that is another thing that I loved. And also, this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about before I just spill my guts on everything, is the memories that I have associated with this game. my other friend and I just lost it. I remember spewing milk all over her rug. I still feel bad about that to this day. But we were just laughing the way she